Hello and welcome to yet another edition of Bits to Billions, the unicorn story. The company we are tracking this week is one of India's newest unicorns, and it has ambitions to be the Amazon Prime for many D2C brands in India, small brands that really don't have the wherewithal to set up their own delivery and shipping channels. Sahil, thank you very much. He, of course, is the co-founder and CEO of Shiprocket. That's the unicorn we're talking about. Shiprocket's had a really interesting arc, right? Technically, if I look at it, you started up in 2012 as Bigfoot Retail. You went through Cartrocket and Craftly, and then it finally became Shiprocket in 2016. So take us through this journey of pivots. How did you finally kind of find the sweet spot, so to speak?
So thank you, and great to meet you today. Thanks for having me today. I think when we launched the company back in the day, for us the macro thesis always was that brands will need to find a way to sell directly to their buyers. I had worked at Walmart for a bit in the US, and just in my gut I could see that offline retail was not going to become like the US. There was not going to be huge big box retail happening, and it's not happened. So why should online mimic the US in every fashion? And there will always be that sort of direct channel where people will want to connect with their buyers, tell their story, and kind of provide that experience. We're a very diverse country, lots of kind of Indias exist in one India, lots of developments happening. So I think with that macro kind of view, we felt that India needed the toolkit for SMBs to be able to sell directly. The first product we tried was a shopping cart product, very heavily inspired from Shopify, which we know today is like a global leader. We tried to kind of build the shopping cart, tried to do a lot of those things early on, and then over a few years realized that a lot of the Indian market was actually on mobiles. This is a time when Jio was about sort of happening, Flipkart and Amazon were also happening. And then there was this general awareness in consumers as well as in the merchants about being able to go online and make a business. That's how Craftly came about, where we took this entire website building experience to a mobile app. And as Craftly scaled, we quickly realized that we needed the shipping infrastructure, the payments infrastructure, along with kind of doing the overall platform. And we were still early in our fundraising journey. We were a pretty low cash company. So for us, the only way to solve shipping was to actually not go and build it, which is what the likes of Amazon and Flipkart did. Instead, the next best option would have been to go to every sort of carrier and logistics partner that was out there and try and tame them to our requirements, and then build a very heavy data and tech workflow to get this together. So as we built that and we saw great results, probably the best logistics tech platform built into the Craftly platform, a lot of our merchants started telling us that, look, we love this part, we're not so hot on some of the other parts.
So you decided to unbundle that part.
And merchants started actually telling us that we want to use this only because I've got other orders that I'm not piping through your platform, but I want to use the shipping. So is there a way you can give it to us? And then initially we resisted it because you want to build the whole platform and make it work. But then somewhere towards the end of 16, we started to kind of think about unbundling it. 17, we launched the platform separately, and 18, we shut everything else off because we realized that it was a fundamental missing block in the chain of e-commerce, and that realization takes some time to do. And it's I would say if we had not done the other things, we would not be doing this, right? So I actually don't think of it too much as pivots, but more as just evolving one model to another.
But Sahil, let me come back to the fact that I mentioned you're one of India's newest unicorns. what was it like, trying to raise a round in the current environment? And it was mostly an internal round. So
Yes.
was it also hard to get a big new external investor, the valuation that you wanted, compared to the previous round? Or were you happy to kind of compromise on that,
I'll be
considering the environment we are in?
Yeah. So we didn't go out to raise at all. To be honest, we have not spoken to even one external investor. This is more of our internals wanting to double down because they see the value. We've done a bunch of acquisitions. They're performing beautifully. We know there's a lot of synergy that's going to get unlocked in the next 12 months. So it was mostly our internals wanting to, put checks to say, look, we believe this is going to create a lot of value and we want to come in with a larger exposure. That's it. So we actually didn't even fundraise. So a lot of those questions I don't have answers to because we've not gone and validated any of this in the market yet.
But why did you decide to, be an aggregator, like a logistics aggregator, instead of building it yourself? For example, like what a delivery does or an e-com express does or an express piece does. You're dependent on them for your first mile, middle mile and last mile delivery. So why did you kind of take that approach?
See, I think everybody is dependent on somebody in an ecosystem. This is the value chain of how it works. So that's not the lens we apply when we think about this. As far as why we believe this is the right way to do it, couple of reasons. One is that our objective and mission is very different. Our mission is to bring this experience that consumers are getting used to on a place like Amazon or Flipkart, and then kind of have it available, unbundled, at large, all the way from the buy button till the refund, like I said, right? Which is not just about logistics. There's a very heavy technology layer. There's a very heavy intelligence and data layer. And there is a lot of supply chain.
So like a tech platform for logistics?
Yes, it's a tech platform centered around logistics and a bunch of other use cases that move around that. So first of all, that's what we set out to build. We believe in the power of the ecosystem to the nth level, right? Because we believe that there are folks who can do certain things really well. So if there are carriers who are good at getting further and faster, there are warehouse partners who understand capacity, capex, manpower. There are fintech guys who understand lending, underwriting. There are packaging guys who understand manufacturing of the packaging, and so on. And then there are technology guys like us who understand how to build the tech, how to build interfaces, how to get merchants to use those interfaces and create value. So I think for us, it's very clear about being very clear about our role in the ecosystem, and we will not deviate from that role for any reason. We believe that building a merchant-centric platform is a very different mission from building a logistics company. I just like it's a different way of running a business. So I think it's a fundamental apples to oranges comparison or a different DNA altogether.
Got it.
So I think that's the way. I mean, if you look at us 5 years forward, this will not even be a question because you will see so many other aspects of what we are solving for the merchant. As consumers, you will be interacting with Shiprocket at various touch points. You'll be buying a lot more off the large marketplaces and so on. And that's kind of the stargazing or the future that we are aspiring to see and live in.
Got it. But let me ask you a broader question. Your fortunes in a sense also depend on the demand that D2C brands see from consumers. Now during the pandemic, during the lockdown, everybody was on Instagram, WhatsApp, Facebook, they were shopping. But in the last few months, people are talking about a slowdown in consumption because of inflation. People don't want to spend on nice to have things. They want to spend on need to have things.
Sure.
So how has that impacted your volumes or, the demand that you are seeing from these brands?
First of all, we don't run the company in quarters, right? When we think about the future potential of what we're doing, it's thinking in tens of years or 30, 40 years. And if you look at e-commerce overall, it's today maybe 70, 80 billion in size, and it's still 5% of all retail. There's so much yet to be unlocked. Where we think about the long term, e-commerce overall has to grow. It's not about direct commerce or marketplace commerce. If you talk about e-commerce in general, that is the only way it can go, right? Digital consumption is growing overall. It is a more efficient way of doing business. it unlocks doors to a lot of people.
I understand the long-term potential, but
I know.
short-term,
So
have you seen any pressure?
Not really, and I'll come to that. But I wanted to paint that sort of index on how we think. Direct commerce in the US today is 40-45% of total e-commerce, right? India is still about 15-14%. So there is headrooms available everywhere. When we talk about consumption overall, these are patterns that may come and go. The more direct answer is we actually don't see a lot of effect on our business, given that we are powered by over 100,000 merchants, right, who are selling their goods in a more personalized, direct fashion, in a niche fashion to a niche set of buyers. So is this demand pattern reflecting differently on an Amazon versus on a direct commerce channel? Probably, because we don't see a slowdown the way everyone's describing it, to be very honest. And it could just be that we have a different mix of demand and sellers, right, on the platform.
Got it. And you've also been like very, very acquisitive, I think, this year, right? 5 acquisitions in 2022. Why this acquisition spree, and are you looking at more acquisitions going forward?
Yes. So, see, I think for us, we have been a profitable company now for over 2 years, right? And our core business, which is the flagship.
Yes, I'll be profitable hoga.
Total nahi hoga, lekin my last mile business will be profitable because we have product market fit, we're the largest in India and so on. But the new initiatives will obviously require investments, right? But that continues to be profitable. It's designed to be profitable, right? So for us, having access to capital, having access to a market where there are other backers who are willing to, partner with us and work with us, allows us to really think about acceleration, right? On our roadmap, if we're saying that we're going to build this entire buyer journey, right, from the checkout to the payments to fraud, to returns, to fulfillment, fast delivery, loyalty, and all the connected services for the merchant, that's a huge roadmap. And if you think about that roadmap, we're probably 4 on 10 today or 5 on 10 today. So one way is to go and build out each piece, which is what anybody without the capital will do. The other way is to say, look, if there is capital available, why can't we accelerate this and go after targeted sort of technology players who can help us, integrate back and make this go faster. So that is really the thinking behind going after an acquisition strategy, and it will continue. Because our business continues to be, profitable, and we will hopefully continue to attract capital. So we don't see anything wrong with it.
2 different things about Shiprocket. Ek to, the D2C brand focus. The other is the fact that you're trying to do more than just shipments, right? You're talking about revenue-based financing, marketing automation, other services, and so on. So is this also because, it will help you capture value in a better way because you're working with small brands?
Yeah, I mean, and I'll tell you, one has to always think about creating value before thinking about capturing it. Because if you can't create, then you can't capture, at least not sustainably, right? So our thinking begins going back to the merchant, again saying, what are the things that the merchant needs to solve for? If they are a larger merchant, they probably want a plug-in to one of these guys, either service providers or tech providers in the market. But if they're the smaller merchants that we deal with at large, there's actually not a lot of tech available. Right? Because SaaS for SMB in India has not really gotten created as a category because of various sort of concerns and constraints rather around it. So we are in a way being able to tap into that, given that merchants come to us for shipping but end up wanting to kind of buy all of these other things that I spoke about. And that's really the opportunity. So I think it's about solving for the merchant to give them higher repeat rates, give them higher NPS, give them a better RTO experience, RTO conversion rate, and so on. And then in that process, as you do that, you realize that you can do other things to solve for their business. And as you solve for their business and you create value, definitely you can unlock and capture some as a platform, right?
It's great to have the entire founding team of Shiprocket right here. Gautam, Vishesh, Akshay and Sahil, thank you for coming together on Bits to Billions. Does that happen very often to have the 4 of you on a show together?
No, actually, I think it's one of the rare occasions that all 4 of us are there together. We interact with each other a lot, but I don't think we do this sort of a thing
So at least we've set a precedent here.
Hopefully.
But tell me, one thing that has changed and one thing that hasn't changed after becoming a unicorn. Like, has anything changed?
I think for me, it's just a little bit more attention, but nothing else has changed.
A little bit more?
More attention.
Retention.
Attention of
Attention,
people generally.
okay.
Retention.
And
Retention.
And
But
attraction
general
of talent also?
Oh yeah, for a lot of people have written in, yes, for sure.
Okay.
Folks who want to be part of our journey, and a lot of people have written in after that news. That has been the case.
Gautam, any changes?
I think not much as an individual for me, but I think for the team, it's, at least when there's a different level of motivation that everybody goes through when they hear something. It's a threshold that everybody wants to cross, and I think that's the most amazing part about this, right? The team, how you see the team congratulating themselves across and to us also. That's what I would feel.
Sahil, this must be, especially special for you because this has come after many years of struggle, pivots, changes and so on. And, I think at least twice in your 10-year history, you ran out of money, came very close to, getting sold, but you kind of fought back and now you're a unicorn. So, what does that mean to you? Do you feel vindicated in a sense?
See, I think, look, it's great to be in the, top companies of India, and that has some value for sure. But really, it's a tag, and I think all of us, we pride ourselves much more on outcomes, where we can create value for all stakeholders, whether it's our consumers, merchants, carriers, partners, shareholders, employees. I think that's where we feel like. I was joking with the team the other day that, people said that we should get a party, we became a unicorn. I said, yeah, let's hit March numbers and do it. When you're out of money, you're grappling at every straw your hands can touch, right? But at the same time, as we kept coming back on the table, I think all of us were of the opinion that we need to keep going, because we just haven't done anything yet. Yeah, but I think that's motivation enough, for a lot of people.
Right. And, Gautam, Akshay, Vishesh, you guys kind of look at different aspects of the business from fulfillment to the global expansion to, tie up with brands. So what can we look forward to, say, for the next 1 year, 2 years in terms of Shiprocket's own ambitions? Because, it's so different from just being a company that enables logistics and shipping. So what can we look forward to in the next phase of growth?
So I'll talk about a global expansion perspective because that's what I run at Shiprocket. And I think our biggest goal or ambition is to help D2C brands in this country go global, right? Exports is a big market already in the country. There are a lot of Indian sellers who are very successful on overseas platforms like eBay, Etsy, Amazon. But a lot of the larger brands, like when I say larger, it's also relative. We're not talking about a Unilever, we're talking about the Indian D2C brands. They haven't really been able to go global in a big way. And I think the time is ripe for a lot of these brands to now show up on international shelves. And I think what we're trying to do from our global business, which is Shiprocket X, is create a platform where they can get all the tools and solutions necessary to actually export their products to a international customer audience. And the other thing we're looking to do is Shiprocket has obviously built a lot of technology over the last 5 years that we've been in existence, and a lot of this tech has global application in different markets. So our first market is the Middle East, where we've launched, and we're trying to, again, like we've revolutionized D2C fulfillment or the D2C customer experience in India, we're trying to now do the same in the Middle East and hopefully in multiple international markets in the coming years.
Anything that both of you want to add?
Yeah, I think from a fulfillment standpoint, when we were scaling Shiprocket, one thing that we understood very quickly, and as D2C brands becoming bigger, they end of it were competing with the experience that an Amazon or a Flipkart was offering to the customer. And when that was the thing that the customer was looking for, basically same day delivery, next day deliveries, 1 day and 2 day deliveries basically. Fulfillment was an essential part that was supposed to be solved. And we understood very quickly that this market is not solved, like logistics was not solved, this had bigger challenges. So I think fulfillment is that piece in the puzzle, which if you're able to put this together, it is a true end-to-end solution for a D2C brand to really give that customer that experience which they today are getting from Amazon. And that is how the market will progress from same day deliveries, next day deliveries to even 4-hour deliveries. I'm not talking about 10 minutes, but yeah, faster deliveries to the customer, and that is important. And supply chain, building it through having inventory across the country closer to the customer is the answer. It is technology, it is having the ecosystem, having the network of fulfillment centers across the country. That's essentially important.
Yashish?
I think from my standpoint, while we may have done a good job at solving the supply chain side of things, I think now we also want to become more than just a logistics partner to our merchant side. We work with a bulk of merchants, almost 100,000 merchants today on the platform. We have a voice. We now also listen to the other problems they face in their journey when it's running a business. That's outside supply chain. That could be sourcing, that could be conversion, marketing. So I think the idea is to also put together a stack of tools and products that can help them solve other areas of their business. Not just help them ship, but also help them grow their orders as a business, as an individual. So I think that's also one thing we are focusing on, and that's coming up next.
Got it. Sahil, in terms of the time for delivery, right? Because the Indian customer has now seen everything from 10 minutes to 45 minutes to 1 day to next day. Actually, next day is very late now. 10 minutes and 15 minutes has become the new normal. But Indian e-commerce is also going to see a tectonic shift because of ONDC, a digital public good. What opportunities do you see there? Will we see Shiprocket becoming part of ONDC? Are you already kind of building for that?
We are building for it, and you should see Shiprocket shortly be part of ONDC as well. I think from a mission perspective,
this month, next month,
we're in the final stages of going live with them. And from a mission perspective, there's a complete value alignment because they're trying to do what we're trying to do, and we're very complementary to each other. And they want to unbundle things, they want to democratize e-commerce, and those are literally the things we've been saying for 10 years. So yes, you should see a lot of work between Shiprocket and ONDC. It's something that's just sort of right down our alley, and yeah, we're working very closely with them.
Right. What kind of synergies do you see with Zomato or with Zomato-owned Blinkit and Shiprocket, considering you count Zomato as a strategic investor?
Yeah, so I think the key synergy between Zomato and us is to basically utilize their delivery fleet. We have our own network of points of fulfillment. Now, whether they're a retail store or a large warehouse that we operate or a small facility that we might operate within the city, all of those are points, or a merchant facility as well, right? And the basic fundamental of moving goods from one place to another is where we need, we need supply to do that. Zomato has that supply. They are in every city imaginable, a very liquid supply, and there's a great way to kind of utilize that to help, especially with the local side of things, right? So we've done early pilots, and we're kind of taking it slowly, but that's the long-term kind of way to be able to benefit each other. And from a group company's perspective, of course, we talk to the other folks. We talk to Blinkit, MagicPin. But we're partnered with MagicPin. Right? We're trying to do some catalog exposure for our merchants on their network, and so on. So there will be some commercial relationships that will come out of it, and they're all great guys. So I think it's always good to kind of have friends in the ecosystem.
Finally, Sahil, who's an entrepreneur who you turn to for advice or mentorship, when you're going through this phase of indecision, or you're not so sure about yourself, and you need someone to give you that shot in the arm or that booster shot? Who do you turn to?
See, I think there are multiple people, and I'll end up turning to different people for different things because they can kind of add value. I speak to my father a lot. He's been a businessman, successful one, and sort of struggled a lot in his life. Many times, I'll just go back to him. I have a very early stage investor rather in the company who's been with us through thick and thin. I often,
this would be
this is Rajan Mehra from Nirvana. There's different folks in different times have added or built that relationship, and I like to pick up the phone. I have a very friendly board. I try and give them the bad news first and earliest. And that helps a lot. And then of course through the journey, like Dipinder is somebody once in a couple of months I'll reach out to, have a sit down, just share my concerns or issues, and how he dealt with them as he was scaling his company. And basically anybody who I feel I can reach out to and trust, and who's done something where I look up to them in some capacity, I feel I will pick up the phone and reach out. A lot of it is actually my investors, which is somewhat counterintuitive, but a lot of them I've built that relationship, whether it's Bertelsmann or Tribe or even the new ones like Temasek or Lightrock. All of those guys they have certain qualities or experience that they bring on the table, and I feel strongly about reaching out to different people for different things.
Right. On that note, thank you very much for joining us on this edition of Bits to Billions, and here's
you.
wishing you and Shiprocket the best going forward.
Thank you so much. Pleasure. Thank you.